I'd like to introduce to you next a man who's an actor, a poet, and a friend of mine, Mr. Garland Thompson. Please come up, Garland. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Peter.
All right. Garland, for our studio audience and for our folks at home, can you break down for us what is slam poetry? And what are we about to see?
You know, that's a question that actually people have been asking for the last 25 years. What is slam poetry? Slam poetry is anything, is any kind of poetry whatsoever. There's a little kind of an idea out there that slam poetry has got to be super high fast and people talking super fast and trying to jam in all these words and oh my God and all this kind of stuff like this, right? But it's not that. Sometimes it's that, but it's also sometimes just delivering a poem that's really heartfelt about something that really means something to you. That's basically what it's about. The slam, if you will, is kind of a setup, if you will, to get people, specifically Americans, to come and sit in the seats and listen to poetry. It uses our love of competition to make people come in and want to try even harder than they normally would. So the stakes are a little bit higher because we have the competition.
So do slam poets have stats like football players and baseball players?
Some of them do, actually.
Number of successful attempts?
Absolutely, some of them do. There's to date only one woman who's won the National Poetry Slam 4 times in a row, and that's Patricia Smith, and her record has still not been beaten.
Wow.
So.
All right. Well, I think at this time we're ready to see some slam poetry happen. We have our judges in place.
Excellent.
And we're ready to go.
So everybody knows how it works, basically. The people will get about 4 minutes up here to come and do their thing. We have a panel of judges in the audience that's going to judge them from 0 to 10. We'll add up all the scores. We're going to do just a 1-round mini exhibition. We've got 3 slammers for you. We've got Miss Brian Gilmer, we've got Mr. Brian Sheffield, and we've got Mr. Christopher Rendon. And I think that's the order we're going to hear from them in. Right. So let's go ahead and get to it.
All right,
please welcome to the stage and to the slam microphone here, Miss Ryan Gilmer. Come on up, Ryan.
Okay, maybe right here. I'm sweeter on you than sweet tea in the summertime. I want to tell anyone who will listen that you're mine, mine, mine. I'll climb to the tippy top of the highest mountain peak and proclaim my love for you. Baby, I'm so deep, deep, deeper than the ocean blue. No shallow love will ever do. No more, no more. I just don't have the time. Convict me of loving you. Convict me of this crime. Guilty as charged, I'll do anything you please. See, this isn't just a physical thing. You are everything I need. Though I'm somewhat neurotic, Mama didn't raise no dummy, so when I'm smiling, walking down the street, and people are looking at me funny, I'll tell them somebody loves me, and I'm drunk as hell off their love, honey. And if the sun were to proclaim tonight, never again will I warm the earth with my light, I'll be warmed by the light of them loving me.
Ryan Gilmer, everybody. Okay, so Ryan did not use up her entire 4 minutes, which is great because she displayed for us the fact that you don't have to use the entire time limit. You can just use a part of it or the whole thing. Now let's see what our judges have to say. I'm going to go ahead and call out our scores. Judges, are you ready out there? Let's see those scores. All right, we've got an 8.2, a 9, and a 9.5 from Miss Ryan Gilmer. Can I get a little applause for her? All right, now they're going to add up the score really quickly right now. They're going to add up the score, and they're going to tell us the score really quickly. And as soon as we get a score, a 26.7 for Ryan Gilmer. Now, that's out of a possible perfect score of a 30. So she's doing pretty good. All right, let's bring up our next slammer here. Please welcome to the microphone a very tall, handsome young man known as Brian Sheffield. Come on up, Brian.
This will be quite the juxtaposition against Ryan's happy poem. 14-year-old Raquel walked into class with a calloused cough and a violent rasp that shook the air like a lacerated lung she said she got from smoking too much. with silver eyes like mirrors reflecting overcast skies and black hair that climbs down her weathered face in waves to break on her shoulders thin like the quaking earth. She expressed nonchalance when she spoke of the smell of battery gases as her call to meth temptation, tearing synapses in her brain, dulling the emotion of human, smoke pouring from her lips like steam engines grinning without joy, missing mother's mass embracing children and father's features figuring on sex and killing innocence and incestuous misuse, amazing graces like screaming skyscrapers falling down on angry cheeks, lacking life, bleak of boys, watching girls play daunting games of jump rope as they spell experience of thunder in reverend rooms where preachers pray for chaos red like oceans of virginal violence, speaking silence held horrible inside substance abuse and a high school woman's silver eyes. God's vague vision never included pictures of youth in forgetful classrooms, where blanket testing replaces lessons investing in students' minds, rejecting censored lines from Walt Whitman, ignoring T.S. Eliot's apathetic wasted lands. Esperanza's bleak house on Mango Street stands in despair above every kid's view. Multiculturalism and social justice are absent here, like they were new oppressions while ignorance becomes chains. James Baldwin is just a footnote removed from our textbooks written in Texas. ACLU has no more relevance when it is SAT scores that measure our intelligence still. We stare aghast when minorities appear on TV screens as syndicates of crime, and these streets feel like a damning river with this generation's youth who can find no better future than transients and boxcars heading down that long road with nowhere to go, injecting dreams of drooling drugs, fasting by force for some intangible god they used to call economy, now professing anarchy and autonomy amidst pictures in the high windows of religious lobotomy. God cannot help, for his blinded eyes can no longer see what humanity has made of humanity. Yes, McCarthy is dead, but his ideas live on through the Patriot Act. We forget the Palmer-Raids. We forget the fact that Saddam Hussein's gassing of the Kurds, which fueled Osama bin Laden's rage, was afforded by U.S. sponsorship. We forget the history of American eugenics, which spawned Adolf Hitler's genocide. Yes, education is intertwined in this, like a pedophile moving in kids. Yes, we are taught in a system built to fail, breeding blank joy like television smiles. The youth create the future. But the old have seen to it that the future is run by their white sons who think in tradition. If we want change, begin breeding dissent, and do not let it die like free speech in the face of sedition. Thank you.
Brian Sheffield. You just saw two very different styles of poetry right there, and both of them are slam poetry. Now let's hear our final slammer for our mini exhibition slam. Give it up. Oh, that's right. We got to do scores. Thank you for keeping me on track here. I get so excited. Let's see what the judges have to say, though. Okay, we've got a 9, a 9.5, and a 9.9 for Mr. Sheffield. Can I get a little love for Mr. Sheffield? By the way, if you'd like to see this happen on a regular basis, we do this every Wednesday night in Monterey at the East Village Coffee Lounge. Come on down. Sign-ups are at 7:30 and show starts about 8 p.m. Let's see, do we have a score? A 28.4 for Mr. Sheffield. Very good. Let's see what our third and final competitor has to say to us. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Christopher Rendon.
I forfeit. No, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm not too cool to memorize my poems, so. From a wishing well, belly button, where I claim the moments of life, why do you quickly try to bring me to my death? A poet whose goal is to make it out and live right, why do you cause so much post-traumatic stress? You're the reason why babies get tucked in at night. The reason why adolescents get held captive in their homes, stuck in a room with the power of 50 concerned parents standing outside of their locked door, whose brother's texts and calls forbid him to commit suicide by walking into the city streets, whose bullets crave to touch red or blue colored fabrics. Do people pull triggers of pistols to produce power? Has a bullet bear the mark of a man's legacy? To the 18-year-old kid who carries a clean slate and a weapon 27 years older than him, do you find comfort in where you sit? Nervously sitting in the back seat of a four-door Honda Accord, you spent hours trying to articulate emotions, yet found yourself feeling weak. Instead, you became a product swallowed by the cruel corners of your environment. Now you find yourself barricaded into the interior of a criminalistic mind. Do you feel your innocence slipping through clean fingers? You marinate in the sweat of devilish creatures that have a midnight blindness to the city's neon lights. Your consumptions of substances makes death your mind's favorite chew toy. From the burners that get untucked from the cut pockets of cushion seats to the constant burning of a swisher being passed around, does inhaling a flavored cigar give you the bittersweet taste of victory? From alcohol being taken out of brown paper bags, guzzling hard liquor until the throat burns with sensation, do you know pain is just a hangover that you can never get rid of by drowning? Before you throw half your body out of a lower card window and find the clashing of personalities to erupt in a violent shootout, understand the person you are and what you are doing. You carry characteristics greater than a frustrated youth neglecting an education. You are the boy whose teachers love, who teachers love, and a teen who counselors try to reach. You are a mathematician that did well with deals yet slacked in every math class. You are the wordsmith that wrote poetic lines in rap yet never finished an essay in English. Understand who you are. You are a concerned uncle who takes walks to local libraries with nieces and plays video games with cousins and nephews. You take bites of your mother's food, appreciating her for quieting the stomach rumblings. You take advice from a man who knows of hard times, but behind a glass window is where he speaks. How you always overhear your mother's ghost stories of him being a father. You are loved too much by a girl whose razor blade cuts spill blood over toilet seats. How she begs of you through scars to do right, but you don't know what you do, right? Stop trying to build a name from headlines that reek of gang violence. Don't have straightaway shots target your dreams and aspirations. You are not prone to violence. You were born to succeed. You quietly speak of change, yet being trapped in the midst of violence changed you. As you aim, cock the hammer of a pistol ready to shoot, understand the legacy you will leave behind. Your bullet that bears your mark missed your target. It rather made itself another home in the chest of an 8-year-old kid younger than you. 8 years younger than you. His life will hang in the hands of respirators that has short time limits. You will leave a legacy that carries night terrors for all mothers. You'll see your mother cry and pray for you as you walk away with cuffed wrists and hands behind your back. Unsatisfied that the crime you committed gave you a name, but made you give up the life you wanted as well. Now it's too late.
Christopher Rendon, everybody. Wow. What'd you guys think of all that? Pretty good, huh? Well, you know, I'm looking at the time. I thought that would take a little bit more time than it did, but we kind of got through that pretty quickly. I think we actually have room if our competitors are willing to do one more round. Is that possible? We got to get scores first. Let's get scores for Christopher first, and then we'll see if we can do a second round. All right, here we go. We got an 8.2, a 9.5, and a 10 for Mr. Rendon. Very nice. And what's Mr. Rendon's final score for this round? Not bad, a 27.7. Very good, my friend. So, shall we do a second round? All right. Then let's go ahead and bring up, how about we keep the same order this time, okay? So let's go ahead and welcome once again to the microphone our lady of the bunch. Give it up for Ryan Gilmer. Come on down.
Now to find the spot again. Okay. Fair weather, front seat, looking at the moonbeams, solid, sympathizing, the sun on the horizon, sipping foreign coffee, listening to Redwood Heartbeat, smoking cigarettes in a black dress at 4:30, nonetheless. 4:30 a.m., ocean breeze, quiet enough to hear a stop sign sneeze, listening to all the bird calls, staring at the fog walls, making entities out of mist and light, thinking about where to sleep tonight. Where to drink. How arousing is pink. Pink plush lips on a long, skinny straw. It's amazing how I get anything done at all. Always thinking about men, always thinking about trees. He asked me to smile. I said, whatever you need. I got some stories I don't care to tell. I got a family I don't know so well. So which do you trust, your love or your lust? Have no resistance at all. Get knocked around like a rag doll. My eyes get withdrawals when I can't see the stars. My ears and nose start to bleed when I ain't near the sea. Biped amphibian, transplant Caribbean, sitting here wrongin', wishing I was belonging.
Ryan Gilmer, who is, by the way, one of our top slammers at our weekly event, downtown Monterey. Let's see what the judges have to say about that. We've got an 8.7, an 8.9, and a 9.3 for Ryan Gilmer. Good work. Very good work. Can you feel the tension building here? Let's go ahead and bring up our next slammer. Please welcome once again. Oh, I have to get a score. See how the mind works here? I just want to go ahead. I've got to slow down. What do we have? 26.9 for Ryan Gilmer. Yeah, let's give her a little bit of applause. All right, let's bring up our next slammer then. Please say hello once again to Mr. Brian Sheffield.
This one's quite a bit shorter. I'm from innocence drawn out from the lips, and alcoholism smells like disease. I'm from crying out for warmth at 2 a.m. because homeless shelters are not on a lease. I'm from looking like this when that valley is brown as the pestilent winds of pesticides spread anger and racial tension like poison into our ignorant eyes while I'm advertising the mark of Cain. And every single word I want to say is called hate language, but I don't know why pinche gringo isn't treated the same. I'm from ducking in yards at every backfiring car because the songs of experience have only taught us so far that innocence lost is less important than life as imagination dies at the point of a knife. I'm from TV and heroin needles because educators can't educate when schools attempting to initiate a learning process through books that teach hate, expect help from parents who can't even read. I'm from a culture run by all those who know skin color dictates understanding and wealth owns our cultural stew, so I'm told I can't get it. Well, guess what? Poverty does come in my color too. Thank you.
Brian Sheffield, pointing out some facts that not a lot of people might not be aware of. What do we have from the judges? Okay, we've got an 8.5, a 9, and a 9.8 for Brian Sheffield. Good work, Brian. Good work. Brian has been coming regularly for months now. He's a CSUMB student, and he's also one of our top slammers at our weekly event. What's our score? 27.3 for Mr. Sheffield. Good work, sir. Good work. I hope that this TV audience is getting as much fun out of this as we are here. All right, let's bring up our final slammer. Our final slammer for tonight, for our mini slam here. Say hello once again to Mr. Christopher Rendon.
All right. Can I find heaven in something so vulnerable as you? After an argument that led to a door with no future, you stumble to a nearby bench and you take that moment to sit down and think. Your voice limps onto the roller coaster winds of a deep breath in order to produce words to speak. Yet you feel your heart is being crushed by the weight of pain you carry. The man who stood uncertain about you begged of you to never wear your heart on your wardrobe, so you bare naked for them, only to find out that your choice is the reason why they left. Did you ever feel appreciated? Did you ever feel beautiful enough? You opted to find a soulmate that will care for you, someone who threw out passion behind compliments to ensure you they loved you, but you spent too long looking. Look what the battle for love has caused you to lose. A white smile that once held the light of Helios between each teeth, bringing a needed disturbance to the dark hours in men's dreams. A mind rooted under the bark of wisdom and knowledge, falling victim to not understanding the twisted schemes a few may have. A laugh that spoke of vibrant feelings over a lazy joke. Lips that gave open kisses to wounds and healed the bruises of men's ego. Now tell me, has silence overwhelmed that? Is your tongue having a memorial for words burying your throat under thick saliva? Has anyone attempted to become the crutch to the broken whistle that you sing? Your personality captured decades of beautiful symphonies. Why do you leave sidewalks to become holy grails of unworthy men? Understand that they are too blind to love you for who you are. You can imprint in Braille everything you want, send kisses and letters, yet who knows if the guy you choose will ever be what you need? Now tell me why God has not found a man to treat you like a queen. Are you too good to be true? Can I find heaven in something so vulnerable as you? Let me be the one who embodies those feelings of first times. From the first time you said hello to a crush and made sure you didn't embarrass yourself. From the first person who made you engulf the sky and have butterflies fly freely in your stomach, to first conversations that has a voice suddenly become a security system for you. To your first day where you're drenched in the perfume of nervousness, then to only be provided the consolation of late nights through a first kiss. Going home to crop the picture of lips touching, claiming it to be the best night in a long time. Let me be the one who rewrites the stories and recreates feelings. Let my arms shelter you from cold nights. My hugs be the fireplace for your shivering body to treasure warmth, and let us grow. You and me, us, grow into something undetainable as the story of vulnerability turns into a story we both want to hear. Can I find heaven in something so vulnerable as you? I have. I believe I found the heavenly gates and granted myself access to the idea of being your man. The emotions that hanged on clipped wings is finally taking flight out of my body. You carried that once lost smile along this journey to find happiness. It dragged itself onto my shoulders, and we taught it how to curve upwards again. Once done with that, you would hand me down your smile as a gift and make me confess to others you are the reason why I have one on my face. Your invitation to a happy home is found in your mother's meals as she feeds me a banquet full of support and acceptance, something I try relentlessly to find in my own home. You brought property in my state of consciousness, and I rarely go a day without seeing you. Appreciation has covered bones whenever I make a movement for you. Rib cages has opened itself to become a home made of jungle gym bars. I made blueprints to a skyscraper full of love. And if I ever free fall from the top, I have painted an image that I'll parachute myself into your arms. Although my love hasn't mustered enough courage to reveal itself just yet, I'm glad we are spending time like it's recess. We are having fun. But I'm just waiting for class to begin so we can teach ourselves how to love and move on from just being friends. But the question is, are you happy? Do you find heaven in something so vulnerable to finding love as me? Thank you.
Christopher Rendon. Christopher is one of our leading local young writers here in Salinas, in the burgeoning literary poetry scene. He's one of our great poets, and you'll be hearing more from him as the years go by, I'm sure. Let's see some scores, judges. Okay, we've got a 9.2, we've got a 10, and a 10.
Whoa.
For Mr. Rendon. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Now let's, Peter, let's bring them all three up here right now.
Absolutely.
And
I'd
we're
like
gonna
Ryan, Brian, and Chris to come up here. We'd like to ask you just a few questions about poetry and your inspiration and whatnot.
Let's first find out where they ranked.
Oh,
okay,
you're right.
We've got to
We got
do
the
the
numbers
ranking
there.
here. So let's get Chris's score here. A 29.2 for Christopher. Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. So now, of course, you can only have one first, one second, one third. The way we do it down in Monterey, everybody gets a prize, but here we're just going to give them our love and gratitude. So in third place, who's in third place tonight? We add up both round scores, and that's a 53.6. Ryan is in third place. Congratulations, Ryan. And in second place, we're adding it up on the... Brian Sheffield with a 55.7 in second place. And I think that we know who our winner is. What's his score? Oh, there was a little bit of a time penalty, that's true. Christopher Rendon, yes. A 50, what was the prize? What was the score? The prize, the score? What? A 56.9. So our winner is Christopher Rendon. Take a bow. Take a bow, all of you, please. Take a bow. Okay, Peter, let's ask him a couple of questions.
We have a few minutes left, and if I could have, I have a mic for you. Ryan, if you could start by talking about what, as a younger person, when you were in school, was there something that inspired you to write, or some author or teacher or poet that captured you and brought you onto this path?
Definitely my English teachers were a big part of it. I always had very good bonds with my English teacher, but I would say Langston Hughes was my first poet that I really enjoyed and really, really, truly inspired me.
Wonderful. How about the same question for you, Brian?
Actually, what's kind of funny is I was not that big of a fan of poetry when I was in high school. The only poet I'd ever read was Edgar Allan Poe, and most of my writing mimicked his. It took me going to college to learn about people like Yeats and T.S. Eliot and William Wordsworth and Patricia Smith, like you mentioned. God, she's freaking amazing. She blows my mind with how amazing she is. But high school is mostly scary stories and horror is what I was into when I was a kid.
That works.
For me, it was trying to express myself. Before I used to think, oh, I'm gonna be the biggest rapper ever, but it never happened like that. So
Yet.
not at all. I don't have the background or anything. But it was just I just found joy just in rhyming, and then I started, getting away from just rhyming and just speaking how I feel, and that's how the poetry started coming. I started doing competitions, and I love the stage, just feeding off the energy from the crowd, and that's how it pretty much started. And then I started doing theater right after that, and it's great.
All right. The next one I'd like for all of you to answer, and I want to start with Ryan again, is how do you get into character? Because you guys are in a mode, in a character, in a spot where you can have this flow forth. How do you get yourself ready to do that?
I usually think about the state of mind I was in when the poem was written.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it's completely fictional. Sometimes I'm imagining what I want to feel like when I'm writing a poem or a song or anything, and I get back into that state of mind of what did that feel like, where was I?
Mhm.
Because you can't replicate it here. You have to really imagine it. So.
Brian.
Actually, Ryan kind of hit it on the spot. That's a pretty good answer. For me, I sort of have a mantra I like to say every time before I go up. Tonight, I am a poet, and I sort of repeat that line to myself because I always get nervous every time I go up. Every single time, it never falters. So that's sort of what I do. I just do that mantra, and then I let the words come to me and just flow out, sort of, I don't know, just as it does.
I just read off the paper. But no, like they're saying the state of mind that when you're writing the poem. Usually I try to stay positive, even though I'm depressed and all that stuff, but I try to stay positive because that's how I want my poems to come out, and I want them to send a message out to people who are listening, and not feel like okay, everything's negative and everything's falling down on me, but just to lift yourself up from stuff like that.
Okay. I have one more question I want to get each of you to answer. The question is, and I want you to take a second and think about it, if you could give a piece of advice to a young person living in this area about writing and about expressing yourself, what would it be?
My advice would be to take your pain and take, I mean, it's all pain really, but take that and put it into whatever your art or creation is. I mean, that's what you've got to do. That's what's going to keep you sane really, is putting it into what you love to do, what you love to create. Because when you do that, it's easier from there.
Wonderful. Brian?
I would say that I would take what Ryan said once again. She's very brilliant at this. And I would also say write what you see with absolutely no regard as to what that is, and use color and smell and taste and texture as much as is humanly possible so that the image looks exactly to the reader or the listener as it did to you, while also calling back to those other people or poets who influenced you.
Wonderful. And Chris?
I would say just keep writing. Find the time just to write whatever you're feeling. Just let your emotions out on the page, and always read, and stay educated, and keep an eye on things that are new and happening in the world, or just in the country or something local. Because if you educate yourself, the more your writing will be like I don't know the words. It will be real better.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no worries. No worries. One quick thing. We have about 30 seconds.
All right, so also, like he said, keep writing, but make sure that you write absolutely every single day without stopping, and never let that voice in your head that tells you that this sounds stupid guide you, because that voice is going to guide you down the wrong path. Just shut that voice out and say whatever it is that you want to say.
Wonderful. Yes. Thank you very much. I want to thank Garland Thompson for coming out here to the Black Box Theater at McCate, and my thanks to Ryan, Brian, and Chris for coming out and performing for us. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for our slam poets.